That's right. The Grand AI India Impact Summit has come to a conclusion here in the national capital, and over the past few days, artificial intelligence has suddenly become a buzzword and dominated the national conversation. Major global tech leaders have promised to participate with billions of dollars in the India AI dream. Prime Minister Modi has unveiled a roadmap for artificial intelligence. But there have been skeptics too who have said that this was more about optics than substance, often questioning the planning of such a mega event. Also wondering whether India is too far behind the US and China in the AI race. Who better to answer some of these questions than the man who's really driven this AI summit, or one of the key men in the hot seat? I'm joined by Abhishek Singh. He is the CEO of India's Mission AI. He's had a tough 4 or 5 days. First of all, Abhishek, I'm sure you're breathing a sigh of relief that it's almost over. It has been quite an event, just in terms of the size, and therefore I think you deserve a lot of commendation for having achieved that scale of the event. What are your 3 big takeaways from all the conversations that have happened over the last 5 days, Abhishek?
See, thank you, Rajdeep. And I must say that it has been a stupendous effort by the team that ensured that we pulled off at such a major global event at this scale. So, as far as takeaways are concerned, like number one, it puts India at the AI stage. The whole India has noticed the talent that we have, the capacity that we have of building models, building AI applications, use cases, our ability to operate at all layers of the AI stack. So, first takeaway, I would say that putting India on the AI map, showing what we are capable of and what we can do. Number two, I would say that this is like in many ways, this is like the Digital India moment of 2015, wherein AI has been kind of become the go-to thing for all youngsters and startups. I believe that the interest that youth have shown, especially college students and school students, and the amount of time they spent at the startups who were showcasing the best of the solutions, this will inspire them to learn about AI, to understand why it is important for their future, and this will lead to a revolution like never before. Number third takeaway, I would say that the kind of investments it will drive in our AI economy, especially the global majors, looking at not only investing in data centers and in AI compute in India, but also investing in Indian companies, Indian talent, Indian startups, which will ensure that we will ultimately think of starting to build IP in India. Because for long, what has happened is that talent has been exported from India to the US, and the same VCs have funded Indians in the US, and they set up companies and create IP there. Instead of that, this will turn the clock around and will ensure that we will be starting to build impactful companies within India, which will lead to a lot of benefits in the days to come.
I'm going to come to each of those takeaways. I find them fascinating, and I'll come to them in a moment. But I would be remiss in not asking you, did the organizers have faced, and whether you read social media or not, I don't know, but there was a lot of flack on social media, particularly over day one, over organization. There was also the entire fiasco over a Galgotia Robo-Dog and how that was allowed to pass through your diligence systems. How do you respond to those who say that the festival tried to become too big too soon, and thereby optics took over substance? There wasn't enough time to actually have those serious dialogues that were needed. How would you respond to those who say optics took over substance and it could have been planned and organized better?
I would reverse it around and say that maybe we did focus too much on optics and we focused more on substance. The quality of sessions that we had was fabulous, and we did spend a lot of time in curating those sessions and getting the right people to come to India and speak around the sessions. What we didn't anticipate maybe was that on day one we'll have as much crowd as we got, because day one was supposed to be a light day. The expo was not open. The expo was opening only in the evening of 16th at 5 p.m. when Honorable Prime Minister was inaugurating it. But somehow people came in the morning thinking that the expo is open. So the numbers that we are anticipating, because for all the sessions, the Bharat Mandap's capacity is to take almost 5,000 to 6,000 people only. And those who had registered, we were expecting them only to come. But we did get almost 60 to 70,000 people. And since the expo was not open that day, the expo was supposed to be open from 17th onwards, it led to some commotion and some bad social media feedback that we got. But what I strongly believe is that if you look at the videos of even on the day one, the sessions were like populated like crazy. Every room was filled. The discussions were very intense. So that is the proof that it was not optics or substance. Had it been optics, we would have focused only on logistics and ensuring that people get in. Number two, about the Galgotia incident, the less said the better. It's not that we were showcasing only an Indian products exhibition. There were multiple companies who were showcasing products from all over the world. So, but the mistake that these fellows did was that they claimed that product to be they made by them. So that was a wrong take by the concerned person who spoke to the media without understanding. And I believe because of that, the expo organizers did cancel their stall allotment and they were removed.
So could there have been better due diligence there? I come back to it. You're blaming Galgotias. I'm sorry. I just want to focus for a minute on that because let's get this out of the way. You're saying on day one, the organization may have been caught off guard because of just the sheer size and enthusiasm of audiences. And the Galgotia instance is a one-off. It shouldn't take away, presumably, from all the other wonderful, innovative startups. And that the fault was that they were selling the Robo-Dog as their own product. Am I broadly correct? And that was not told to you or whoever was in charge of the expo.
See, it's very difficult to do due diligence with regard to what people may say when a media, when they're giving a media bite. This is like if we don't even have that level of either human intelligence or artificial intelligence to predict what somebody will say to a media journalist on a TV interview. If they say something which is factually wrong and misleading, then there's little that we could do in advance. If somebody has a product like that, I will be happy to learn how it is made and how it is done. So the Galgotia incident is about that only. It was more about the wrong claim that was made, the misleading claim that was made, rather than what was
Okay.
exhibited. So that's one. Yeah.
Let's turn from there to the more positive sides. That's the negative which captured the headlines, and the media often focuses on what captures the headlines. But the launch pad, you mentioned this as one of your takeaways about indigenous AI models. The Prime Minister has spoken about making India, in a way, possibly the third pole after the US and China. You have indigenous AI models coming out there, like the Sarvam model. Do you believe these models now can compete with the best of what the American and the Chinese are offering, or are we still playing catch up? Do you believe that this summit, in a way, is showcasing what India can do, but are we still playing catch up to the big two?
See, like Sarva models, 105 billion model, parameter model that they release has been published on Hugging Face and against many benchmarks. They are performing better than many of the models that the West or China has produced. So while it is true that we are behind US and China, but we are catching up and we are catching up fast. And maybe very soon we'll be leapfrogging to get ahead. But we should claim that only when we have done that. What we are doing is that we are providing, as government, we are providing all necessary support to the ecosystem, to the researchers, to the startups, to industry, who are the ones who will make the models. In fact, in anywhere else in the world, these initiatives are done by the private sector, are done by startups, are done by researchers. So the role of the government is to provide an enabling environment and all necessary inputs that is required to build such solutions. And the government is doing that. And we have seen what Sarvam has done, and Bharat Gen has done, or Socket has done, or Gyani has done. And in the pipeline, there are 10 to 12 more startups who are building similar impactful solutions. In fact, even in the field of small language model, Shod AI is building a material science model, a physics model. We have IntelliHealth, which is building a medical solution for diagnosing epilepsy and Alzheimer's. So there are many more initiatives which are currently being done, which will ensure that we will be able to not only catch up, but maybe leapfrog to go ahead.
You're using the word leapfrog. So are you saying that this gap that exists today, because there's a huge gap, you will well know, in terms of investments, in terms of just where the foundational models that the US and China have set compared to India. You believe that this gap can be bridged? Is this the next big challenge in a way for you? Yes, you've organized the summit. Yes, there's been a lot of attention. As I said, it's been part of the national conversation. It's put AI on at least squarely on the national dialogue in a way. But once now that the summit is over, how do you take this forward? Isn't that the next big challenge to ensure that that level of innovation, investments take place? Or will we end up piggybacking on the American foundation models? Because I heard some of the American speakers at the summit saying that the American stack is what will drive the world forward.
See, again, I would like to clarify that we are not in this game of competing and trying to go forward. That's not our objective. Our objective is to build something for India, build something that works in Indian languages, build something that solves issues that we have in delivery of healthcare services or services of farmers or educational services. So we are trying to solve problems that we have in India, trying to improve service delivery, trying to bring in efficiency, productivity by using AI in every sector. In the process, if we are able to, our solutions become better than any other countries, let that be. But that's not the only objective. The objective is to try to enable building solutions in India that work for India, and ultimately these solutions will be something the whole world will look at. We have done that in the case of digital public infrastructure. In fact, when we are building the identity stack and we're building the UPI, digital payments, or the DigiLocker, we were not looking at which whether any country has it or not. We're building it for India. We are building a solution that we need, and maybe later the global south and other countries adopted it. In fact, in the case of UPI, you have seen even countries like Brazil and France are looking at it. So not only the developing world, but the developed world also looks at our solutions. Similarly, the way we build AI, what Prime Minister spoke about yesterday, about the Manav approach towards building human-centric AI, using AI for solving issues that humans face and bettering the lives of people in a very responsible manner. That's our approach, and the way it's shaping up, ultimately it will become an example for the whole world.
No, but can you just very quickly, tell me how will Manav translate into reality? Find words used that you want a moral and ethical, inclusive, accessible AI system. But there are legitimate fears that people have that AI will actually widen the divide. Even Sundar Pichai spoke about it. An AI divide could emerge between the haves and the have-nots. How much of these fine words is going to be translated into action on the ground in terms of making AI, for example, truly inclusive and accessible, at least in the short term, or is there a genuine fear
See, the
of
way we
job
are
losses?
See, like the way we are building and the way we are trying to make AI inclusive is like if you look at a project like Bhashini, which is one of the projects that we launched as part of AI, that was primarily to ensure that we use AI, we use natural language processing to ensure all languages are covered. The models that the West makes, they make in English. They are trained on English data sets. They are trained on data sets that's not contextual. They do not capture our nuances, our cultural nuances, our traditions, our national ethos, that is not captured there. So what we are trying to do is that we are trying to build data sets in all Indian languages. We are trying to digitize our own context, and the models which are trained by default in Indian languages, they will definitely perform better than any other model when you comes to multilingual context. So that's the way we are trying to address to ensure inclusion is ensured. As far as job losses are concerned, whenever a new technology comes in, some jobs do get obsolete, but new jobs are created. How do you take that opportunity? How do you do skilling? How do you do reskilling? How do you orient your curriculum? How do you train people? And India has a whole potential of becoming the key AI transformation services provider for the whole world. The whole world will need agentic AI. The whole world will need physical AI. The whole world will need edge AI applications and the forward deployment engineers that are in great demand. So the whole world looks at India as providing the workforce that is needed for building AI applications. So I look at it as a big opportunity of moving up the value chain from being mere coders. People can become AI transformation engineers and forward deployment engineers, which will be much, much more rewarding for each individual and also for the nation's economy.
Today one of the big stories, Abhishek Singh, was the signing up of Pax Silica, a US-led strategic alliance of which India has become part of. Many believe that this will, in a way, is directed against China. But our signing up to Pax Silica, does that make us more dependent on the US in a way, particularly for technology, particularly for the kind of partnerships that are already being built by Indian startups with the NVIDIAs and the OpenAIs of the world? I ask you again, are we really in a position to become a third pole in this AI world around us, or is the US going to, are we only going to have to do partnerships with the US, at least in the short run?
See, the global supply chain in semiconductors, in chips, in AI, artificial intelligence, deep tech is such that there are dependencies that every country has. In fact, NVIDIA will not be NVIDIA without what TSMC does. So it's not that any country works on its own. There are partnerships. There are understandings, and people work with trust when it comes to technology. So partnership between India and US is based on trust. Our strength remains talent. As of now, US strength is technology, and between this technology and talent, we get trust. What we are doing is that, yes, till such time we design our own chips, and we do have the capability of designing our own AI compute chips, because the
Right.
entire design engineers, look at chip design engineers, most of them come from India. So the DLI scheme and the efforts that are going on, I strongly believe that in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll have a chip that is designed totally in India. And then within a few years, we'll be able to tape out those chips. And then again, we'll become like kind of self-sufficient over
Right.
the entire AI stack. But at the moment, yes, every country is dependent on some other country for some other needs. Our engineers contribute to designing of these chips. Our engineers contribute to most of these models. Our engineers do contribute to building AI applications. And similarly, the US has the talent technology which they offer to us for building impactful solutions.
My final question, I know you've had very long 5 days and you ended it with a dance or a song performance with a Naga band there, because you are an IAS officer from Nagaland, your original cadre, parent cadre in a way. You've had this long 5 days that you've had to go through. If there is one thing you had to do differently, what would you do? I again come back to some of the criticism. There was too many VVIP movements. The traffic was not as regulated. People didn't have water. They had to wait in long queues. Would you have done anything differently to reduce some of the criticism and only focus on the many gains from the AI summit? If there was one thing you had to do differently, what would that be?
See, in any such event, whether you go to Davos or whether you go to the CES at Vegas, any major global event where you get heads of state, where you get the top CEOs of all companies, where there's a lot of traction, where hundreds of thousands of people turn up, there will be traffic, because the roads are not designed for handling 100,000 people on daily basis. So if you go to Disney World, there is traffic. So traffic issues are normal. Traffic issues everyone battles. That's not a challenge if you're doing a event of this scale. With regard to other facilities, I don't think there was any shortage of water or food of any kind. In fact, most people have appreciated that this was a zero waste summit. There was not a speck of garbage or a thrown water bottle that was seen anywhere in the whole premises. If I had to do differently, maybe we should separate out the business days and public days, because what happens is that, given the kind of world leaders they were there, I would have
Ah,
actually wanted to have some free time for them to interact with our younger startups, because the crowds that we have, unfortunately, we do have a large number of people, and sometimes we do get very close to each other, which sometimes is culturally not acceptable to many other parts. So maybe we need to we will if we do next time, maybe we'll have business days
right.
separately, which will be exclusive for business leaders and tech leaders, so that meaningful interactions, discussions, networking could happen. And the public days, wherein we get the citizens to also come in, join in, students and other stakeholders, that can follow. So maybe that way. But what we also wanted was that to truly democratize this
Right.
summit, because had we done that, it would have been called as an elite event, not open to all. But yes, criticism comes in whichever way you do. But as long as the larger objective of ensuring that the AI moment for India has come, we have been able to achieve that.
Abhishek Singh, I really appreciate you joining us. I know you've had a rough 5 days and you've really been there at the center of it all. But to explain and speak about the gains and the controversies, that's very rare. But that's why you're the CEO of AI Mission India. I appreciate you, and I thank you for joining me and sparing the time on the news today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Abhishek
Thank you.
Singh,
Thank you.
the man of the moment in a way.